Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, and how we're going to save it from itself. Guys, the content that we're about to talk about is going to blow your mind. And by the way, the person caught in a geriatric mental support facility who's a sitting congressperson was a GOP member. This is not me playing favorites. This is me pointing out a very serious problem. Because literally, what I just described is not a sensationalized headline. This was confirmed by the mental health care facility. A sitting member of Congress missing votes for 6 months because they couldn't leave their mental health care facility. We got a problem, guys, and if you want to save this country and you want to fix the issues together, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, because this is important for this generation and the next. Everything's always linked. I always bring receipts. All right, let's get into this, people. What I'm about to show you is truly mind-blowing. And there's a bunch of correlative videos and topics that we've covered that kind of back this up to a bigger problem. I'll do a video on that, but right now I want to show you what's happening. Texas Representative Kay Granger, 81, found in memory care unit after she vanished from Washington 6 months ago. Okay, this was released today, as you can see, and I've got a couple sources, and it was confirmed. Again, this is not mainline news on mainline networks yet, but it has been confirmed according to multiple reports and sources. All right, let's get into this. An elderly Texas member of Congress who has been missing from the Capitol for 6 months has been found in a nursing home that specializes in memory care, according to a report. Longtime Republican Representative Kay Granger, 81, has not cast a vote in Washington, D.C. since July, despite the GOP's super slim majority in the chamber. And this is where I can kind of really set up camp for a second. We've got a problem in our country that our congressional members cannot see the writing on the wall at 81 years old, who are going to end up in a short 2-year term, because she was elected in 2022 last, has no cognitive signs, no signs of decline, which is a natural, normal thing. I'm not bashing people for getting older. That's a normal part of life. But you don't have the self-awareness to go, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this because I'm not the best person to serve the support of my constituents. Because that's the entire point. This boils down to the people of Fort Worth who have not had representation for the last 6 months in Washington, D.C. during really pivotal votes because their representative was in a mental dementia support facility and wasn't allowed to leave. Guys, we've got Dianne Feinstein, who just recently passed, was in hospice, still a sitting senator. We had Joe Biden, the president in absence in chief for the last 4 years, couldn't do meetings in certain mornings, was off days on days, and his aides were running the entire thing. And then he overshot all of our rights with executive orders and actions. Dan Crenshaw is sitting there saying, upset that he can't trade stocks and he can't better himself with a financial raise at our expense, our taxpayer dollars. Guys, and now we've got someone who was just discovered in a freaking dementia support facility, all the while not casting votes for her constituents? Guys, we're finding the problem. It's not just a GOP problem, and it's not just a Democrat problem. We are looking at a selfish problem. These people are looking at Congress as a cush job to continue to get paid until they can no longer physically do it anymore. This is a very large problem. And now I'm going to say the disclaimer. I think that the wisdom achieved and accumulated through a life of either public service or just personal experience or blue collar or white collar, working with your hands, just that experience is incredibly valuable. That doesn't mean that you put yourself and your own desires in front of your constituents and your country because you want to continue getting that paycheck until you literally are not allowed to leave your dementia support facility. Guys, this is the problem that we're at. I fully respect the wisdom that comes from our older generation. We need that. In fact, common sense would go a hell of a lot longer than what we've been dealing with right now for the last 4 years. But this is a big problem. When you have gun rights bills that are coming up, gun right bills that are becoming laws, all this infringement on our Second Amendment rights, on our First Amendment rights, and Congress doesn't not only understand the way technology advances, but can't even figure out how to get to where they're going, we've got a very serious problem moving forward in our country. Let's continue. That's my little rant on this, but we're going to make the country better, and this is how we do it. GOP and Dem, you're both going to get it. All right. Granger did not run for re-election in November, but her disappearance is especially significant given the tiny majority Republicans hold in the House, and the massive votes that are taking place, including the government spending bill, in the waning days of her tenure. She should have stepped down the second that she was physically no longer able to do her job. Flat out. And I would say the exact same thing about Jerry Nadler. I would say the exact same thing about Jerry Connolly, the guy who literally has throat cancer, but he's still becoming the chairman of or the ranking member of the Democrats for the Oversight Committee. Nancy Pelosi, President Biden. I can do this all day. Sidney Hoyer. All of them. They're holding on to power for their own self-aggrandizement. They are not holding on to power for the country. That's the point. Term limits. If you can't exercise self-restraint to do it for the betterment of the country, then we're going to do it for you. Term limits. You cannot do this. Cognitive tests. For the love of God, if we're to the point where we have to have cognitive tests for the leaders of our country because they cannot pull themselves out of their role, we've got a problem. It's incentivizing them to stay. Let's continue. After calls to Granger's offices were sent to voicemail and her constituency office was found empty, a reporter at the Dallas Express received a tip that she had been staying at a memory care facility after being found lost and confused while wandering through her neighborhood. Employees, however, confirmed that Granger was living in the facility, the Express reported. Taylor Manziel, the assistant executive director for the senior living facility, told the outlet this is her home. Guys, they're confirming it at the facility. All right, let me listen to the representatives in that local area, then I'll get to some really important quotes I want you to hear. Tarrant County Republican Chairman Beau French said the lack of representation during a crucial voting period in Congress was troubling, to say the least. That's the point. At a time when extraordinarily important votes are happening, including the debt ceiling, disaster relief, farm bills, and border issues, Kay Granger is nowhere to be found. The margin in Congress is razor thin, and the lack of Republican vote representing CD12 disenfranchises 2 million people. We deserve better. We do deserve better. Imagine if this was your congressional district and you had no voice, no vote, circumventing the entire point of our government. By the people, of the people, for the people, because this person wanted to stay in power long enough to get one more term's check in order to get, before she faded out into non-existence. And again, I'm not trying to discredit her or be mean to her personally. I'm saying this is a systemic issue in Congress. All right, now let me jump over to the actual quotes I want to share with you. As you can see, this one's from Newsweek. This is a far left organization, so this is not me cherry picking. Let me jump down to these quotes. MSNBC News columnist Eric Michael Garcia wrote on X, quote, Kay Granger, David Scott, Thad Cochran, and Dianne Feinstein reveal a big problem that Congress rewards seniority to build power, that incentivizes people to stay long past their expiry date. Yes, I'm agreeing with someone from MSNBC. Cats and dogs must be sleeping together. Let's continue. Colin Rugg, this on the right. Co-owner of conservative news site Trending Politics, wrote on X, Senator Mitch McConnell, Representative Nancy Pelosi, and now Representative Kay Granger are taking falls and losing their cognitive abilities as they refuse to leave office. McConnell busted his face open and hurt his wrist after a fall. Pelosi broke her hip, requiring emergency surgery after falling downstairs. Granger was found in a senior care facility after people started noticing that she was missing, according to Dallas Express. We deserve better. We do deserve better. This is the problem. This is one of the problems. We need to disincentivize long-term things like this. Simple. CNN, last thing. Edward Isaac Dovier wrote on X while sharing a link to a local news website, quote, says a lot about a lot of things that this headline exists. Missing GOP congresswoman not seen for 6 months finally found living at dementia care home. Yes, it freaking does. You want to know where we are? You want to know part of the problem? This is it right here. You have incentivized people to stay much longer than is necessary, which is detrimental to the country, missing main votes, disenfranchising millions of people's representation because they wanted to stay in power just one more term. Here you go. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you on the next one.